Welcome back. Hasn't been 3 days. This is BJ, your co host, and I have Justin with me, and we are here for episode 2 of Hasn't Been 3 Days. And we are really, really excited to be here again with you. Thank you for joining us once again. They say people are that do podcasts and are on all of the different socials like LinkedIn and stuff that there are people that are influencers. We have learned this week that we are impressionists. We have made 139 impressions this week with the podcast in our first episode. So I just want to say thank you to all of the valuable MVP listeners out there for giving us a chance and listening to the first episode. Justin, how has your last 3 days been?
My last 2 days have been great. I listened to the podcast multiple times. So maybe I'm the 139 impressions. But no,
You're 100 and I'm 39. Yeah.
yep. No, the weekend was good. We got to enjoy those family photos. Memorable.
Yes.
They're
What was the outfit choice?
Jeans and a gray
Overalls?
polo. No overalls. No overalls and no cowboy hats. Well, at least not for me.
Okay.
I don't own a cowboy hat. Have you ever owned a cowboy hat?
A few, yes.
Yeah.
I don't have any presently, but I have owned numerous cowboy hats. Yes.
Are cowboy hats different in Oregon on the West Coast?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, that's good. That's a good
No.
note in case I ever get a cowboy hat.
Yeah,
But
it's universal. You can wear it at any rodeo that you want to go to, or on any farm you want to be on.
it's true. It's true. True stories. But yeah, no. So we had good photos, decent weather, and just kind of relaxed. Haven't had a relaxing weekend in a while where I didn't have to do much and I slept in, which I don't do very often, and so it was good.
Good.
But other than that, we just came back on Sunday and started the week over. So how about you?
Yeah, thanks. No, that sounds awesome. I'm glad you had a good time and with family and in-laws. That's awesome. And no, I had a great time with my kids on Saturday. Had a good time. I have one of my kids that is recovering from surgery, and we'll make sure we get him on the podcast at some point. But Saturday was his first outing after surgery, and he got to come over to my place, and we hung out for a little bit, and it was awesome. I got to see two of my boys, and then got to talk to my daughter as well. So that was good. And then Sunday, I picked up a few extra hours at a second job and got to just kind of chill out on Sunday. And like you said, then we're rolling into the new week, and here we go. So
Yeah, what? So your second job, you're like a security guard or something, right? Is that what you do?
no, it's more of I'm a building monitor for a school, and that means for those of you lay people out there, that means that I literally stand outside and watch the building to make sure it doesn't leave.
Yeah,
Um,
like gets up and starts
no,
walking away, the building itself.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah. No, actually, those of you that do know me, you may know or may remember that I was a security guard. Believe it or not, if you can be 5'6" and be a security guard, I was a security guard at Mid American Nazarene University for a little while, and so those memories come flooding back at this job because usually I'm at this school by myself or there's an event going on, and so we're just trying to make sure doors stay locked and people stay safe. Well, I did have 3 intruders in the building this weekend, which was a little dramatic. The event we had going on was some middle school girls cheerleaders and their coaches, and so they were a little freaked out. So we were able to find these gentlemen and escort them off the premises. All was fine. They here, this could be something we talk about. Can we talk about this for a minute?
Sure, go
Um,
ahead. This is what
so
the platform is for.
so I found these guys walking through the school. They had propped open a couple doors that were locked so they could get back through, which is good, or they would have been trapped. Which probably would have scared me more than anybody if as I was monitoring the building. But anyway, we found them, and I asked them if they belonged there, if they needed to be there, or if they had a reason to be there, and trying to give the benefit of the doubt. And they said, "Well, I'm an alumni, and I just wanted to see how the school was looking these days." You're an alumni of your middle school, and you want to come take a tour on a Sunday evening? Uh,
Yeah, that's kind of creepy.
no, but it did make me think about this because I'm kind of nostalgic this way. Um, I've lived in a lot of places. I went to a lot of schools growing up. And so there is something to be said about, hey, I want to go back to my elementary school or my middle school or my high school, and I want to see what if what comes floating back. Have you ever had those feelings of just? I know you didn't move around as much as I did, but do you ever want to just go back to East High or wherever you went to middle school or elementary school and just walk around?
Yeah, I mean, there are actually some of my teachers that are still at East High, and so yeah, it'd be interesting to see some of those, but and see what the school is like compared to what we had to deal with,
Sure.
and what the facilities are like now. Now I've done that once on a 10-year reunion,
Mhm.
but other than that, I don't really go out of my way to go see if I can break into my old schools.
You didn't like to go to school when it was open.
Yeah, I was like, why would I go to school when I actually have a diploma from these places? Why would I go back? They
Sure.
pretty much gave it to me just to get me out of there.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I guess I just don't. Yeah, I don't. That doesn't really interest me. I
Okay.
mean,
So
yeah, that
let me ask
personally
you a
me.
question though. So what does bring nostalgia back for you? What would you like to go revisit from your past?
Whew, man, that's a good question. Um, I think just going back to like places where we used to, as as kids, and my dad would always have 2 weeks shut down from work, um, from Kawasaki when he worked there, and we would take 2 week family vacations and just reliving those vacations, or going to my grandparents when they lived on the reservation and just experiencing the reservation as an adult, and
Mm,
remembering what you used to do as a kid, and going to these old cafes and stuff that don't exist. That would be kind of cool to go back and try to relive those again. But yeah, from a school standpoint, though, yeah, or anything. I like traveling, so like I remember our family traveling a lot. So um,
yeah.
reliving like those old trips that we used to have. Like I remember we drove to California, or we drove to Oregon actually, and we took the coastline, the Pacific Coast Highway, all the way down to California
Hmm.
when we went to Disneyland. So like doing that trip, like I've tried to think about doing that trip with my kids and reliving that, to say this is what I did when I was a kid. So
Hmm.
um, that would be something. Like I said, I really enjoy traveling. I've already thought about like coming to visit you, like
Hmm.
how I would do
Hmm.
that. I already have it planned in my head, like where I'd fly into so I could drive up there. And that's like
Mm.
flying into San Jose or San Francisco area, and then driving the Pacific Coast Highway up that way. Just well, that's why I know we're Southwest. I can get the cheapest flight sometimes.
Yeah. So the Pacific Highway, as you're calling it, the 101 is gorgeous, and I mean that's the thing that I think. And I don't know this. I'm not from California, but we're getting a lot of people coming up from California, living in Oregon and stuff. And obviously, we talked about this last week, the wine country and just all the attractional stuff that's bringing people to Oregon. But the 101 that goes down the entire coast is just gorgeous. I mean, it is. It's just amazing. You can't beat it. So I would recommend you and your family do that and relive that trip. But I also recommend anybody that wants to see the ocean, not not the warm ocean.
No, you need to go
It's the
further
cold
south. Like
ocean.
you need to go to
Yeah,
like closer to Mexico at that point, San Diego
yeah, yeah.
area.
San Diego and then Mexico for sure, or just go to Florida. But yeah, if you want to see a different kind of ocean, at least I've been to Florida. I've been down in the Gulf, and that's not the ocean, but it resembles the ocean, and it's the this side of the country is just it's a different beauty. I tell people it's a different world out here, and I just am blessed to be able to live out here. But yeah, I encourage you. Let's do the 101. Come on out.
Yeah. Well, it's on the list, man. Gotta. I just need to do
Playing
it.
golf in December.
Playing golf in December because I can't find
There
my
we
golf
go.
balls here in Nebraska.
So cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think nostalgia
So
for me.
yeah. What about you?
I always had trouble. I always love that. I love to revisit places like that I've lived, places that I've been before. I love those memories with my family. Um, but sometimes there's a lot of different things that have happened that cause some of those memories to not be so good sometimes. But anyway, I just enjoy that. I enjoy going back to places I know. I'm getting ready to go travel for work, and I get to go back to Colorado, and I'm looking forward to being in Denver for a little bit and seeing some friends, and so that's going to be cool. But yeah, I love nostalgia. I mean, so you can be driving around the block and see something. I mean, we had those memories, you and I, of driving through neighborhoods and yelling at people's dogs and all sorts of
Oh,
stuff. But
one of our
yeah,
favorite pastimes is when you lived with us or living in Lincoln in general. Um, when Becky and I were married, we would just drive around, like literally drive around Lincoln in the surrounding areas. Just that was our time to talk and hang out. Like, yeah,
yeah,
we could do it at the house, but that was boring. And those are things that we still talk about to this day. Is like, oh, we should just go drive around and talk, even though we can do it in our comfort of our living room. Because
yeah.
that's
That was before gas prices were $5 a gallon too, though.
oh, it's only $3.29 here.
Nice. I paid $3.68 today here. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So
But
yeah,
yeah,
if BP or Shell is listening, we would really take some gas cards. That'd be awesome.
yeah, yeah, I would take that. I don't think anybody would turn down gas cards right now.
No, not unless you got a Tesla or something. Yeah. Anyway,
Tesla, Tesla. But yeah, no, yeah, just driving around, like you said, going to visit areas that have like just grown, like areas that you've lived in that the towns expanded, and I lived
hmm
in Kansas City for 3 years. Um, Kansas City is completely different than what I remember it.
yeah,
And so my brother still lives there, so we go and visit, but we stay on one side of the town because that's where everything's at. Because Kansas City's so big, so
yeah,
bigger than 2000 when we were there. So
yeah. No, it makes sense totally. And it's thing that's just another car rides. I was talking to somebody recently. If you really need to have a conversation with somebody, a car ride is the way to go. Um, they are forced to be in the car with you, and you can say whatever you need to say and get it out. And we did. We had some great conversations in those times. We really did. So it was fun.
yeah, and you know, I yeah, we did a lot of things that were entertaining, like yell at people when we drove around. That's the fun things about back in the day. BJ and his siblings, before his siblings started driving, would watch me drive a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I was probably a super bad influence, but we had fun, like taking a megaphone and just yell at people while we're driving around and pretending that people stole our dog, and we're like, the dog looks like our dog, and we're like, give it back, and we would just drive off, and we thought it was the funniest thing ever. But we, you just didn't want to spend time at home, so you just went and drove around.
Yeah.
So, but That was when gas
That's
prices were $1.29 or
yeah.
something.
Well, and that was the one thing I do remember about first starting to drive, and I learned this from you too because you helped me to see. You would stop at the gas station, get gas, but you could get in Nebraska. I don't know if it's still this way. There was no tax on food. I don't know if that like
Yep, there's
is
not a
that still
tax.
the
Yeah, I believe. I don't know. I guess I don't
okay.
really look at it that way. Or
So we
I
didn't.
think it tax, yeah.
I had a small car at one time, and I could go to the gas station. It was a 10-gallon tank car, and I would fill up. I would get $9 worth of gas, and I would go inside and get a 20-ounce Mountain Dew for $1, and I'd hand them a $10 bill and be good. And now, I mean, $10 won't even get me to the next gas pump, let alone out here. I mean, a 20-ounce pop is $9.64. It seems like, but yeah,
You probably get that McDonald's app. I think they give away free stuff all the time. Like I don't know.
for good point. Yeah, so yeah, McDonald's. Let's let's shout out to McDonald's and the Big Mac and the tasty fries at Sunday night at 9:30 when you're headed home from work. So thank you,
Oh,
McDonald's.
tasty fries. Oh my gosh. I remember back in high school they ran McDonald's ran a special called triple cheeseburgers, and they were like triple cheeseburgers were
Ooh.
$1. This might have been my senior year. Man, we went to McDonald's. I think in like a short amount of time, I think I ate the equivalent of like 30 cheeseburgers
Oh, geez.
because I would have it. I was just my mom and dad, they said, we're going to pay for school lunch, but if you're going to do anything else, you have to pay for it. Well, so back then when triple cheeseburgers were 99 cents or whatever they were, and you got open campus, you went to McDonald's
Yeah.
and you ate there. And so for $1, I think I remember, man, it was right before a church event. And I remember saying, man, I think this week I've had like 30 cheeseburgers. Like I went to McDonald's 10 times and oh my gosh, not good. I can't imagine what triple cheeseburger would cost now. So, or let alone eating
Or
it.
yeah, you're right.
It-
Exactly. Yeah.
it's not real meat. I don't really know what it is. That's the
Yeah.
thing that's
Who
kind of
knows?
annoying about fast food places like McDonald's. You can get their Big Macs and quarter pounders, and they advertise that as real beef, but everything else is, I don't know, frozen something. I don't really know.
Yeah, we
The
want
whole
to be careful not to dog our sponsors here as we um, we had some comments from the gallery last week that
true.
we made our first sponsor request and we dogged them, and I don't think we dogged them. I think I took it as a dog, but you weren't. You were saying that's what I would order and that's what I love. So that's my bad. That's an error and omission, I guess. So let's be really careful. We want to keep McDonald's on the high, the up and up if we can on this. Hasn't been 3 days. Yeah, let's have
McDonald's,
McDonald's.
Chick-fil-A, God's Chicken, whatever. I made that
Yeah,
mistake.
yeah.
I don't know how many people enjoy Chick-fil-A, but I don't know why you crave Chick-fil-A on Sundays. It's the dumbest thing. And I made that mistake this last week. We got back into town. My my son and wife wanted something different to eat, but me and my daughter wanted chicken, and we're like, oh, we're just gonna go to Chick-fil-A. We're gonna go pick up the dog, go to Chick-fil-A, and as we're driving there, I'm in my head, I'm like, we're gonna go get God's chicken, and then I was like, oh yeah, I went to online church today because I was away. Yeah, I can't go get Chick-fil-A today. We had to like pull a U-stop and go somewhere else, but I don't know why I crave it. I crave Chinese food here in town from my favorite Chinese place. Every Tuesday I crave it. They're always closed on Tuesdays. It's the dumbest thing.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah.
But
Well,
anyways.
when we talk about food and we talk about these different places that we would hope that one day our impressions get so big that they want to help us out here. But it's a great transition to really what we want to talk about today. So, what do you have to talk about over the last 3 days? What has happened in your world or that's caught your attention in the last 3 days that You just have to get out. You just need to get it out.
Have to get it out. Oh, I don't know. I mean, I know our podcast, we talk about 3-day-old news, so I'm thinking about news that's happened and just kind of going backwards. And looking at what I wanted to transition and talk about a little bit. I came across this news article about a Disney lawsuit, where this lady unfortunately lost her life eating at a restaurant at a Disney park, and the family went to go sue them, and Disney was pushing back, and they came back and said, well, you signed something that said that you're not allowed to sue Disney ever. And that one thing that they signed was their Disney Plus membership because they wanted to watch Aladdin. It hurt them, and recently I read this morning that Disney is now, I think, kind of pulling back the reins a little bit and not going to use that as the driving force. But it kind of caught me as like all these places that we buy memberships for, once they get bigger and they take over everything, or all these streaming services, like, what are you actually signing up for? No one ever reads those things. Netflix will take over everything. They do streaming service. I mean, all these streaming packages now. What are you actually signing up for? And it kind of brought to light, and I've never read those things, but Disney Plus, they try to say, because you signed up for Disney Plus, you gave them your information. The fine print says that technically any property of Disney, no matter if you die at a restaurant at Disney World, because you signed up for Disney Plus, they could use that as an out. That's pretty sad. But
yeah,
so that was something that caught my eye this weekend. That was, non-sports related, and even though I listen and watch a lot of sports stuff, but that was one thing that caught my eye from that came across. What about you? What do you have? Anything?
That's good. I think when I think of that lawsuit, and I didn't see that news, and you were telling me about it before we jumped on here, and so I feel like I got to have an opinion. Otherwise, what's the point of the show, right? If we don't have an opinion about 3-day-old news.
Yeah.
But the first thing it reminded me of was, do you remember that? Speaking of McDonald's, do you remember that McDonald's lawsuit of the lady that got coffee from McDonald's and she spilled it on herself and she sued McDonald's because the coffee was hot? And so then after that, all of the McDonald's coffee cups says, caution, hot content. Do you remember that?
Yep, I do remember that. 100% I do.
Perfect. Nope.
Yeah.
So it just,
what's that?
McDonald's, I think, and again, I'd have to go back and look at it, but McDonald's had to backtrack on that a little bit too, I'm sure. But then they went and made it right, and they put the warning sign out there and do all that stuff. So I think I don't want to recommend anybody suing somebody else just for financial gain. I mean, if you're wrong, then obviously there's some things there that you can take care of. But anyway, that's what it made me think of for sure. But for me, to answer your question, 3-day-old news, one of the things, because I don't have a sports streaming package, so shout out to all of those that can hook me up with some live sports. That'd be awesome. I do. We're on
YouTube. We're on YouTube. Maybe we can get YouTube TV sponsorship.
Hey, that'd be great. They could look up my old account because I used to have it. So yeah, just hook me up again. That'd be great. So I have a really good friend that lets me watch ESPN, and I was watching some Little League World Series this week, and really that's all that I can watch because all the good sports are on the other channels on the weekend. So, but
Fair.
I'm watching Little League World Series, which I have a problem with the Little League World Series in this classification of baseball. Now, I played baseball growing up, and that's the one regret that I have in life is that I didn't stick with baseball. I believe I could have made some money playing baseball. But the Little League World Series, the Little League World Series Association, that league of baseball watching these 12-year-old and under play baseball on TV when it's not. I mean, think about these 12-year-olds. They're showing, and I know we exaggerate our height and weight when we're in school. I remember playing basketball in middle school, so 12, 13 years old. I was the shortest kid on the team. I probably wasn't even 5'4". In our program, I was listed at 5'9". I'm like, I'm not 5'9", and so those kind of things are exaggerated. However, you watch these 12 and under kids play baseball, and you see this pitcher out there that's 5'9", 170. I'm like, dude shouldn't be playing Little League World Series baseball, okay?
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. If you're 12 and 13 years old, 12 and under, 12, 13, right on that cusp, that is 8th grade going into 9th grade, and you're playing in a league that you're not leading off. The strike zone has gotten bigger than the 17 inches of the plate, and you're playing on a softball field when in 8th grade or 9th grade you should be hitting the ball, 250, 300 feet to get a base hit, and they got fences at 225.
Yeah.
So I have a problem with Little League World Series because it's not the game of baseball I grew up playing. And so do we do a disservice to these kids by putting them in a league where there's no leading off? You're taking an element of the game. We talked last week about the returns in the NFL and the special teams. I mean, when you have baseball and I was a speed guy, so I hit leadoff and I stole bases. If you can't steal bases in baseball, you take the strategy out of the game. I just have a problem with that. However, so there's my 2 cents. Then I watched the Major League Baseball Little League World Classic Sunday night.
Okay.
So they're in Williamsport, Pennsylvania for the Little League World Series. And so on Sunday, the big leaguers that are playing, and this year it was the Yankees and the Tigers, they come in and they watch those little leaguers play. They stop everything so these big leaguers that can come in the dugout and they can come to the field and they're hanging out with these little kids. They're 12 years old. They're not that little.
Yeah.
But what a cool thing. And these big leaguers, so I'm watching this broadcast of the major leaguers, and so they're doing this broadcast where they're letting the little leaguers ask questions, and they're interviewing players during the game. It's a lot like preseason. It's a lot like all the fun stuff that you want to know. What is the left fielder thinking as the ball's hit to him? Well, he's mic'd up and you can talk to him. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So kudos to ESPN for that. Kudos to these major league ball players that go out there and give of their time and their energy. And one of the Yankees talked about, he met a kid that was kind of coming from unfortunate circumstances. And this major leaguer had just met him that day and kind of adopted him and said, you know what? You keep playing ball. I'm going to take care of you. You're going to have whatever you need. And he just hooked this kid up and his family. I thought, those are those moments that you can't ever take away from those kids. So it was kind of a feel-good moment for me as I was sitting there watching this building so it didn't run away on Sunday. But I got to watch some baseball on my phone. And I just that's what I took away from 3 days ago is ESPN's broadcast of Little League World Series, giving those kids 15 minutes of fame, but also bringing the big leaguers to their level. Pretty cool thing.
Yeah, and I think that's been something that they've added in the last few years. I haven't watched the Little League World Series in a while, but I think they added that classic piece in there so they could go. Because don't they the Major League play a game nearby somewhere? Don't they?
Yeah, they've created almost like a spring training facility. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So, yeah, no,
it's not 225 to the fence.
What if it was?
That would be ridiculous. Yeah, that would be ridiculous.
Give them tennis rackets and see what happens.
Tennis rackets and medicine balls.
would be there is a sport out there where people play baseball with tennis rackets. Have you seen this?
I have seen it. That's pretty crazy.
They play with glove. Their tennis racket is their extension of throwing the ball.
Yes.
It is nuts. If people who listen to this, go watch it. It is amazing. The accuracy of those guys. I don't know what scoring system they use. If it's
It's
runs or if
baseball.
it's
Yeah.
but they're using tennis rackets, so is it 15, 30? Love.
Love. Yep. Yeah,
But
for
yeah,
sure.
so that would be it's cool. I'd recommend it to anybody. It's one of those random things I come across on Reels. It's probably the only thing that's good about Instagram Reels and Facebook is you find these odd things that come about, and maybe one day it'll end up on ESPN, the Ocho.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad that password worked for you, by the way, to get you to watch. That's, yeah, we don't want to tell anybody. I mean, I'm glad that the uppercase letter worked.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
which kind of we're segueing a little bit, but the ESPN the Ocho like premiered like this weekend, so there wasn't a lot of stuff on ESPN, and I think on ESPN News or ESPN two maybe. When we were at the restaurant, we were eating after family photos. We were watching a TV, and my mother-in-law and my wife go, "What are they doing? They're trying to get out of a car. They're fighting each other to get out of a car." And I was watching preseason football on one TV, and I turned over to see what they're looking at. And sure enough, it's like MMA fighting inside of a car where they stay buckled and you have to unbuckle and then fight each other for like 3
Oh no.
minutes. And I was like, oh my gosh, they will literally put anything on TV.
Yeah.
Which is it's a cool feature when they do that ESPN the Ocho, which was totally a gimmick thing from Dodgeball movie back in the days. So it's cool that they bring that feature back once in a while. So, but yeah,
So what's really cool, it is really cool, and I think I want to give a shout out to my brother Brady. I know he's going to be listening, but Brady, when he was a kid, he would invent these crazy games that we would play with the neighbor kids, and sometimes he would just go out and make something up, and then we all wanted to play with because it was just sounded really cool. Well, I don't think Brady invented this game that we played, but it was similar to the tennis racket baseball. We played football with baseball gloves and a softball. So we went down to the local high school there in Pueblo, and we would play football with softball and softball gloves,
okay.
and that was kind of cool because then you could really, and you especially Justin, you would have loved that because you could throw a softball the whole football field. So um, it was just a lot of fun. You take your glove down there and run routes and catch the ball with your glove, and it's kind of cool. So it's interesting what we made up as kids that's now being shown on ESPN. So like cornhole, come on, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember talking about nostalgia. Like, what sports did we make up back in the day when we were younger? Like you just talked about that. I can't really think of anything that we did. I didn't know if you had anything else like that you or your brother
So
football with
my brother
baseball
would come up
gloves.
with.
That's
Did
cool.
you ever? So I know you had a little top of the door basketball hoop in your house, right? You had
Oh,
to. You were a
100%.
basketball fan, yeah. So did you ever play? You did this too. You got on your knees and you played. You played
Oh,
balloon volleyball in your living room, I'm sure, right?
oh,
Or
I got a story about balloon volleyball in the living room. True
okay,
story. Um, we did balloon volleyball one time. Me and my brother and my sister, and I kind of have a short temper sometimes when my siblings don't listen, and I actually broke a window. Um, that's because the game wasn't going the way I wasn't, or my brother wasn't listening. Shocking. Um, so playing blue volleyball, football on your knees. We used to do that in the living room.
yeah.
When we moved into our
Did
house, I don't know if you did this like when you were transitioning and moving. I remember when we moved into our house, we didn't have any furniture yet. And me and my dad and my brother, we literally had the whole living room. So we played football on our knees. I can't imagine doing
mm-hmm.
that now, right
That,
now with my kids.
yeah,
I would
yeah.
die.
We did that. We also did. So Brady and I think I talked about this. Maybe it wasn't on the podcast, but we played. We did American Gladiator events on our bunk beds. We climbed the wall pulled
Okay.
each other off.
Okay.
That was
Okay.
dangerous, but that was fun. We also created a baseball one. We had a long hallway in our house in Colorado, and one of us would start at the end of the hallway. We put our twin mattress at the other end of the living room, and we would run down the hallway. And as soon as we hit the living room, we would throw the ball to the other person that was catching it, and we would try to slide in under the tag.
Yeah.
So we worked on our
Your
baseball slides.
yeah.
So yeah, we also played knee basketball with the clothes hamper.
Okay. Yeah, I get. Oh,
So
definitely, 100%. Was
that
your
was fun.
was your clothes hamster a cream colored one?
No, we actually had colored ones. So
Oh, okay.
we had there was two. I have a sister and a brother, and all of our hampers were color coded to. So like I had a blue one because blue was my color. I think Brady had an orange one. Bethany, I think, had a purple one or a pink one or something like that. But yeah, ours were colored. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I remember having cream ones. We had like cream colored ones. I don't know why.
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we all had the same color because we were all colorblind. I don't know, maybe.
There you go.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
that's
no.
cool. It's from fantasy made up games. Let's move this to what is coming up that we have been doing for years. And I know both of us have kind of stepped back a little bit, but we're coming up on opening weekend of college football, week 0. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But also, you got to be getting ready for your fantasy football draft. So let's take a few minutes. Let's talk about week 0. Tell me your thoughts on week 0, but also I know we probably won't stay there a long time because I know how you feel about week 0. But here we go.
Yeah.
What's going on with football in your world right now? What's on your radar?
Okay, on my radar right now, Saturday is the first day of college football. And they now deem this, even though it's a game, it's Zero Weekend, which seems to be the dumbest name, but whatever. I guess we don't know how to count backwards and just do numbers again. But yeah, so Florida State, Georgia Tech play this weekend. They play over in Ireland in a classic that is college football now says that you can play these preseason or these pre-travel games and you can call it week 0. It's just another game on the radar. It's going to be like the NFL. They're just going to keep on adding weeks, and the NFL doesn't have a week 0. They just add weeks. And I don't know why we can't just do that in college football, but it's a promotion thing. It's the way to get people talking about college football because it can get kind of lost with the NFL when it starts. So, but
Yeah, it can, but I think the tournament at the end of the year is going to change that too because we're going to see at the minimum 4 extra weeks at the end of the year because of the 12-team playoff.
yeah, oh, definitely. I mean, I'm excited to see how all that plays out. See how well how the talking heads treat that, and what leagues will actually be allowed to have teams presented in the tournament, even though they say everybody should have a say or be involved in it. So,
well, chances are because week 0 is starting with Florida State, Georgia Tech, and we saw what happened to Florida State last year. Chances are, this is just my hot take, if you will. Chances are Florida State wins this game on Saturday, goes undefeated again, and misses the 12-team playoff because they're Florida State. Just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, and last year they were left out because they lost their starting quarterback.
But they were still undefeated.
100%. But the only reason they didn't get in is because they're like, well, they don't have the guy that got them there. And I'm like, it's still a team sport. But
as your brother and our friend Jeff, their favorite coach, Herm Edwards, used to say, it's why we play the game. It's why we play the game. Who cares if the quarterback's hurt?
Yeah.
We got to play the game. It's why we play the game.
Well, nowadays it's all about what's going to bring in the most money. And that's all they really care about. That's why we're getting super conferences and, SEC and Big Ten. Their list of team names are about as long as a receipt from CVS. So it's just it's entertaining.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I'm a college football guy. I will sit and watch college football constantly. I'm gonna watch it, even though I don't really like week 0, because it's kind of. I'm excited for college football to start. I will, like I said, I am a college football fanatic. I will watch 4 games at once. I have a TV set up to do that. I don't have to leave my house. And then the NFL when it starts. I have one TV for the NFL, and I sit and watch NFL Red Zone, and it's amazing. So,
yeah. So I think we need to, as football season gets started, we need to get a picture and put it on our show notes if we have show notes. I don't even know, of a picture of your man cave and your TV setup, because it is freaking ridiculous. But people would be envious of your setup for sure.
Well, some of them would be. I have been fortunate to find really good deals on TVs, and a fortunate spouse that allows me to have that many TVs because she knows I'm staying home to watch football versus being out all the time watching football. And I do enjoy being at the house. And as you have, as I've had kids, it's just easier to be at home and I can watch all my games. And BJ got to see it for the first time when he came and visited back in March, and we watched March Madness, and we literally had 4 TVs going, all synced up and ready to go. So my next thing is to get it tethered in so I can show one screen on all 4 of them at once. So maybe someday I'll get that. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Well, whoever can make that happen as a sponsor, we would throw you out there. We would put your name on a T-shirt or something. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll do whatever we need to.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever we can do for free stuff.
Week 0. We're going to come back to week 0 a little bit at the end because it's part of our weekend look ahead as well. But the other thing that's happening pretty soon, I know ESPN has put out their 24-hour fantasy football shows, and they've been going like crazy with the draft and talking about how many different fantasy football drafts they're in. So, Justin, the question to you, I stepped back my fantasy football playing last year because of personal reasons and some life situations going on in my life. But
gambling debt. Just say gambling debt. Gambling debt. Yeah. Yeah.
That would have been easier. Yeah. So, how many fantasy football leagues will you be playing in this year? And I know, but I'm going to ask the question: how many of yours are pro, and how many of yours are college?
I am only in one fantasy football league, and it's only the NFL. Yes. I used to be in a lot. I was a commissioner for probably like 3 leagues.
We were co-commissioners for over a decade together.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, I've had some life things happen over the last few years that you just priority wise, and obviously having kids.
Gambling debt. Just say it.
Gambling debt. Yep, I had to offshore betting accounts got shut down, and I had to go into witness protection program. So I only had to have one fantasy football league, and I don't have a college one right now. I used to be in one. I have a friend of mine that runs one. That he's been running it since they used to have to pull stats in the newspaper back in the day. So
USA Today.
Yeah. So yeah, but right now I'm just in one, and I'm not even a commish on it, and which I'm okay with. I think my son wants to do one, like a father-son one, or some of our friends who have kids, and do like a parents versus kids split in the league, and I got to run that past a few people to see if we can make that happen, which we can make it happen before Labor Day. Nobody drafts. Oh, and heads up, I'm going to just say this real quick. Anybody who's drafting right now, you are psychopaths. Because There's no reason to be drafting NFL people right now. You wait till Labor Day weekend. Because everything can happen. Anything can happen. They're going to be playing their last preseason games that people can get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's kind of like drafting a kicker before the last round.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's like why draft your fantasy football team after week 1 of the fantasy or the preseason?
Yeah.
You don't draft a kicker till the end of the draft.
Yeah. I
had somebody in a league once that drafted a kicker in the 6th round. I'm like, what are you doing?
Was that recently, or was that Jeff or Nate?
No, I've had it happen a couple different times. And then
I don't get it.
You remember this one? We did this in our league. We had, because Justin and I,
yes,
we co-commissioned a league for probably 12 years. And for the most of those 12 years, we had the same people in the league, which was really cool. We rotated a couple teams. It was kind of like relegation and all that stuff. But no, not really. But we had a person this was before the auto drafting was so in tune that it is now.
Yeah.
But somebody set their lineup to auto draft, but they forgot to rank their players, and they did reverse order on their player list. Do you remember this? And they drafted like 6 kickers in a row.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my gosh.
And I think that's when and that's when we changed our settings and leagues. And BJ and I's fantasy football league got to be kind of a non-traditional scoring one where kickers actually mattered later on because we would give extra points for things. And we were kind of ahead of our time about the extra points that you see in, or I feel like we were. I don't remember seeing those available. We found a website that allowed us to do it because this is before Yahoo and ESPN and even NFL Network or NFL.com had theirs.
They were doing it, but they wouldn't do custom. And
they wouldn't do custom 100%. Yeah, we found one that let us do custom, that let us do everything. And that was so much fun. We had odd scoring. I mean, we didn't have traditional scoring. If you came to our league and you were expecting traditional scoring, you would probably quit after week 1 because it'd be like 460 points to 590. But it really made watching football kind of fun because you're like, oh, you're never out of it because that guy can intercept it and get all the yardage back for a touchdown. Yep. And so that pissed off people all the time. And we just like this podcast, we just had to make it work each time and fix it every year. So
fix it every episode. The episode where we fix everything.
Yep. So, but what about you? Are you? So I think I believe you're only in one. Maybe you're going to be in this other one that I might be starting, but I didn't know.
Yeah, if it's a father-son one, I'll check with my boys and see if they want to do it. But yeah, so I had also done a fantasy football league for my family. So we've got I got some nephews that are getting old enough; they love to play. We would get my mom, so we'd get grandma in there, and at the time we'd get my wife in there and my brother's wife, and so those were fun. My daughter would play with us, and that was fun too. And so those were fun. So actually, we stopped doing that this last year. They all did something else, and they got together somehow. But I asked my son if we could do another one this year, and he goes, "Why don't we just do our family one again?" So I'm going to co-commit with one of my sons on fantasy football league this year, and I'm going to get back in the game. I don't know if you remember this. So I love to write, and I love to be able to follow this kind of stuff. So back when Justin and I were doing co-commissioning this league, I would write. I was like pre-ESPN. I even said that to you. I'm like, somebody would find this because I would write a weekly article, recap the season, recap the week, and talk about potential trades that people needed to make.
I do remember that.
I love that kind of thing. Yeah.
Did we do that? Did we do that when we were supposed to be working at Nelnet?
And exactly. I was just going to say we were at Nelnet. Yep.
And we should have been working.
No. Hold on. We did work.
Oh yeah, we worked so Nelnet. Fast.
Yes, Nelnet had a stupid tracking system.
Yep.
That you could get 8 hours worth of work done in the first 2 hours of the job.
Yep.
and you could sit there and do your daily stretches with the popcorn burning lady.
Oh,
And then,
yeah.
oh my God.
Do you
Then you could
remember?
do fantasy football.
Yeah, and that's where we started doing all of our weird stuff. And yeah, we didn't even sit that close together, and we had to be
No.
quiet. Do you remember how like we had to be quiet because people were on the phones, but then we were like
Yep.
sending jokes to each other, and we were always just laughing so loud in our own cubicles, and then the
Yep.
inside joke was always like "LOL in cube." I
Yeah.
remember saying that all the time.
Before hashtags, that was the
Before
first hashtag.
hashtags, yeah.
LOL and Q.
And then we turned it into LOL in the car. Yeah, we were really dumb. But yeah, I remember us doing that. I remember those weekly. Man, wow. I wonder. Man, I wish you still had access to somehow we communicated that. That would be.
Oh my gosh, those emails, because we didn't even have chat back then. We had to use email. So we were emailing. Our email chains, our work email chains were ridiculously long.
Oh,
yeah.
our work email. Yeah, you're 100% right. So.
Well, yeah. So yeah, I'm doing one league this year right now. Could be two if you start this other one. So I'm excited about that to get back in it. I'm looking forward to doing that. So. Yeah, that's going to be good. So, Justin, what are you, as we near the end of our time today, let's look ahead to the next week. In the next 3 days, we talked about week 0. I want to come back to it. So, I want to start something similar to what all the talking heads do, and they have a little prediction calculator. So, let's consider this, since this is our first week, let's consider this our preseason, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
This isn't going to count towards the overall record, but we need to come up with some sort of wager on this. Maybe a Runza fitment or
Runza. Shout out to Runza.
Shout out to Runza. Yeah, bring back the Polish dogs. Yeah.
The Polish. Oh yeah. Hashtag rest in peace Polish dogs.
Oh, but you got to have a cheese Runza. Oh my gosh, we're going to talk about this too. I have had Runza. And so Runza was invented in Nebraska, right?
Lincoln, Nebraska.
Now, people will say it's actually a German food called a Bierock. If you've had a Bierock, if you're not from Nebraska, you've had a Bierock. Or I have a friend that calls them the hamburger thingies.
The hamburger thingies. Wow. Yeah, it's like, do they flip a coin or like, hey, let's call this cabbage in a bun or hamburger
Well, they
thingies?
didn't use cabbage. That's the thing.
True.
They told me what it was, and then I was like, that's a Runza. They're like, what
100%.
is a Runza? And I told them, I said, did you put cabbage and cheese in it? No, but that would be really good. Or sauerkraut. So, yeah. So, I mean, Bierock. If you're not from Nebraska, but you've had a Bierock, you've had a Runza. So, correct. Runza, shout out to Runza. Maybe we do a Runza bet or, man, you know what? We talked about pizza last week.
Valentino's pizza.
Valentino's pizza.
Yeah.
Give me some Valentino's
But it has to be hamburger, though. Like, no offense, Valentino's. You're a classic hamburger. Oh, it always hits the spot. Always.
Yeah, it's like deer poop is what it looks like, but it's really good. So.
Deer, stop. You remember when we were talking about like actually not insulting these people?
True.
You just compared their hamburger to deer poop. You might as well just said rabbit poop at the same time. No. Oh gosh!
I'm sorry. Please send me some pizza.
But see, the thing is, he says that, and then he eats it, so I guess it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, no, but see, here's the thing. I'm a pizza connoisseur. I had pizza for lunch today, for a birthday lunch for one of my stalkers. Pizza comes down to the sauce and the crust consistency for me.
Oh, 100%.
And Valentino's has the best sauce. And I think that's what makes their pizza so good, is they have a great sauce to crust ratio. So the toppings, you're right, hamburger is good, but you can do some pepperoni if you had to. It's good. Valentino's, let's do it. Yep.
So, we should do a local, something for you, because nostalgia, you want Nebraska food, Nebraska fast food restaurants. So we can make that a bet. I don't eat Valentino's that often. So eating Valentino's, when I win this bet, I would be happy with it. So.
Okay. Sounds good. And maybe we make it so we have to fulfill the bet in person.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that. We can figure something out. especially when we get an endorsement from like Southwest or somebody that can fly us around for free.
That
That'd be
would.
awesome too.
We'll take
So
private jets too. I think there's
private jets
some
would work
private
too.
jet
Yeah.
companies that would work.
But you know what we first need before we get too carried away is we need somebody to just pay us to do this.
Actually, I was thinking a golf sponsorship.
Yeah, Titleist, Callaway. I'm a Callaway guy, so yeah, let's whatever you want.
Chrome
Still hitting those
Softs? You like Chrome Softs, don't you?
Yeah, I hit Chrome Soft when I got them until I lose them, and but I hit Callaway clubs is my choice. So it's stick. So
good deal.
Anyway,
yeah.
Let's move on to I have 3 games for us to pick this weekend, and you mentioned week 0, so let's start there. Florida State versus Georgia Tech in Ireland, if I'm not mistaken, as you said earlier. So Florida State is favored by 10.5 points in this game.
Yep.
Do you think they cover the spread and you taking Florida State, or what is your pick on Florida State, Georgia Tech?
I'm taking Florida State.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just. I think they're. They're a top 10 team. So
yeah.
I think they're. I don't know too much about Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech doesn't run the triple option anymore, so I don't think they're going to catch anybody off guard, so to speak. So, they probably haven't been running triple option for a lot of years. But Paul Johnson hasn't been there in a while.
I am with you. I think Florida State wins the game. The point spread's 10.5. Probably the experts are saying it's going to be a 3-touchdown game. I don't know, but I think Georgia Tech. I think Florida State barely covers the spread. I think
barely. Okay. All right. I'm going to say that
2 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
14.
I was thinking 17 points that they're going to win by. So that's kind of where I was going to lean.
Okay. Well, let's go to 2 NFL games, and since this is our preseason, I just picked 2 games that affect us in our social or psychological well-being. Cowboys and Chargers. Your Cowboys coming in at 3.5 point favorites over the new and improved Jim Harbaugh San Diego Lightning Bolts.
Yeah, well, so here's the thing. You said or you didn't maybe say mental health, or maybe you did. But man, being a Cowboys fan, jeez. Oh man, this is so hard because the Cowboys just have so many problems. I feel like I don't know why and who they're even going to play this weekend. I think this is going to be like a 9-3 game. Yeah, 9-3. Yeah, I think that's they're just going to work out the kickers. Jim Harbaugh is just going to. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched anything about Jim Harbaugh. The only news I've heard is, he got out of Michigan and Michigan got, slapped on the hand, but and he can just fly away and hide. But
no, he can't go back to Michigan.
Oh yeah, 4 years can't go back.
Yeah,
4 years
can't go back to. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So who wins though? You say 9-3. Who you got?
Cowboys 9-3. Yeah, they
9-3.
They have a kicker. I think he came from XF or USFL or the new FL, whatever you want to call it. New FL. I like that name better.
Yep.
He was with I don't know what team. I think he was with the team that just won that league.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he has a friggin' leg. He's like I think he's from Australia originally. Bailey, I think is his last name. And that dude, I think he kicked this weekend right before. I think was it preseason? I don't even watch preseason Cowboys, but I think they played the Raiders.
They played it. It was like at 1 a.m. is when it aired.
Yeah, it's weird.
And it was he hit a 66-yard field goal.
100. Yeah, right before halftime.
Yep, and they were not surprised by it. And it's again, I heard another talking head say this, that it tied the longest field goal ever kicked in a game in the NFL. So only 2 people have ever kicked a ball through the goalpost that far in the history of the game. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, 100%.
9-3. Justin's taking his Cowboys. I'm an AFC West guy. I'm a respecter of a system. You guys are going to hear this a lot in our talk throughout the football season because yes, I met Justin in Nebraska, but I like to think of Justin as my Nebraska insider, and I like to think of myself as Justin's perspective on reality as somebody who's not in Lincoln, Nebraska when it comes to football. So here's what I'm going to say. I say all that to say this. I'm a respecter of a system, and the system I respect is Jim Harbaugh knows how to win football games. He's won everywhere he's been. And I don't like him as a coach. I wouldn't want him to coach my team. But even though he wins, I think the Chargers come to play. I think the Chargers win straight up over the Cowgirls. So I'm going with that.
Here we go. And
Yeah.
the final game
Yeah.
I think we're picking is your Donkeys.
Yeah. So we got Cardinals at Broncos. So here's the thing. Broncos have not been relevant since Peyton Manning left. This was so funny because I come from a house that's a house divided with Chiefs and Broncos. And when the Chiefs signed Andy Reid, this was way back when, right? I said to the Chiefs fans in my home, I said, out of respect for who this man is, in a few years, the Chiefs will win the Super Bowl and they will be the best team in the NFL. I think I gave myself 5 years. I said in 5 years. This was when Peyton Manning was still playing. So, and they looked at me and they're like, no way. I hope you're right, but no way. And I was exactly right. And it makes me sick because I hate the Chiefs. I hate them. There's no team in sports that I hate more than the Chiefs. I hate the Chiefs as a Bronco fan. But as a Bronco fan, the Broncos, because they haven't been relevant in the regular season since Peyton Manning left, they are preseason champions almost every year. They always go undefeated in the preseason. They always give me false hope. And then in the first week, they lay an egg and they just get destroyed, and everybody on their team gets hurt, or they trade their best players. It's just ridiculous. And now that we're owned by Walmart, it's like, let's roll back the prices and let's figure out what we're going to put on the field. But I am an enthusiast. I'm going to have to avoid picking these games in the regular season because I'm picking the Broncos. Broncos by 2 touchdowns over the Cardinals. Broncos.
Okay. Well, I don't think there's a Call of Duty drop coming out, so I think Kyler Murray can actually play because the rumor is that he only plays well, or he doesn't play well when there's a Call of Duty drop. So I don't think there is one. So I think he's going to play well. I think the Cardinals will win by 2 points. There'll be a safety, some weird thing. That's what I'm calling.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Cardinals by 2. Well, the Broncos held the Packers to 2 points this last weekend, 27-2. And I heard another talking head say the Packers are the worst team in the NFL, and that was a strong statement. But 27-2 in a preseason game, holy smokes!
Yeah.
Go Broncos! Broncos! So we are a little bit off, so we could have a little bit of drama to talk about next week. So that'll be good.
Yeah. So,
good. Anything you want to talk about this weekend going on before we say goodbye to our friends?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be something that we do is just talk about what's coming up for our lives, maybe how it interacts with what's our predictions are. So, actually, my son is celebrating his 12th birthday. He is not going to be in Williamsport. He's not playing baseball. He's not part of BJ's rant earlier. But yeah, he'll be turning 12, so we're gonna have a birthday party on Friday night. We're gonna go to this local place called 402 Smash It. Literally allowing 12-year-olds to go in with baseball bats, golf clubs, and everything, and just destroying a room full of TVs, nostalgia, TVs and copiers and everything that you can think of. He did it last year, and he wants to do it again. So we're gonna do that, and he also has his first tackle football game. So he has been practicing and tackling and tackle football for the first time. So we're doing that. And other than that, sports wise, I'll be watching the stuff that BJ kind of talked about, just so we have some something to chat about. And for the state of Nebraska, on ESPN. So I think BJ, you're going to be able to watch this. This weekend they're rolling out the Husker volleyball 30 for 30 that they did. That encompasses the season last year, which Nebraska made headlines about having a volleyball game in Memorial Stadium. So that's captured there. But anybody who's a volleyball fan or a sports fan, I think you're going to find this documentary to be pretty good, and it gives you kind of insight about Nebraska. Most people that probably listen to us know what Nebraska is about, but if you don't, check it out. That's the one thing I'd recommend. What about you, BJ?
Yeah, I don't have anything near as exciting as that. So, yeah, this weekend, no big plans. So, yeah, I get to see my kids again, and so I'm excited for that. And I get to hang out with people I love, so it's going to be a good weekend. But I'm going to go to church and see my kids and just kind of hang out. So it should be a pretty relaxing weekend for me. So I'm looking forward to checking scores since I can't watch all the games. So we'll probably get to play a little bit of college football on
Yeah,
the PS5
100%.
as well. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm looking forward to. It's gonna be a good weekend, relaxing weekend. So I'm thankful for that.
Well,
So,
good deal. Good deal. Well, I think we're at the end.
yeah, it's been good, Justin. I appreciate the time, and I appreciate you putting this together again this weekend or this week. And we're excited to keep bringing this to you. Even if you don't listen, this has been huge for me. I know that, and I know it's just a great creative release for Justin and I. So thanks for tuning in. And I just want to say this on behalf of two really good friends for almost 30 years. Sometimes we have to wait. Has it been 3 days? But for Justin, for BJ, here's to a lack of communication of aged news. We'll see you next week.